Hey guys, I'm going to show you a little bit of a review of the cell cycle and mitosis, just to kind of cover what does the cell cycle mean, where is mitosis happening, what is DNA doing, just kind of going over an overview of that so that we're all on the same page, or maybe if you're reviewing for the exam, you're able to watch this and make sure you didn't miss anything in class. So grab your notebook, follow along, and let me know in class if you have any questions. So we're going to start with the cell cycle. The cell cycle has four main parts to it, and we already talked about this in class. That the cell cycle includes G1, the growth phase, followed by S, followed by G2. And the S phase is called synthesis phase, and we talked about that in synthesis phase, DNA is duplicated. So let's go ahead and draw those. So we have G1 phase, so the growth of the cell initially, followed by S phase. S phase is when DNA is duplicated, it's a synthesis phase, followed by G2 phase. G2, which the cell grows a little bit more. That last phase is M phase, which stands for mitosis. As a cell enters the cell cycle means like a life cycle. A life cycle for a human would be birth, followed by infancy or a child. You become an adolescent, you grow up, and then maybe you get married, you have kids, whatever, you reproduce. Same thing happens for a cell. This is like infancy of a cell. As a cell grows older, it has to duplicate its DNA before it is able to divide. So we enter the cell cycle as a single cell. There's my nucleus. In this stage, we're going to duplicate the DNA. We have twice the amount of genetic material by the end of S phase. I continue to grow. I get a little bit bigger. As I enter mitosis, I'm this big cell with twice the amount of DNA in it, but as I exit mitosis, I'm actually now two identical, keyword identical, daughter cells with the same amount of genetic information. Okay, we call this part of the cell cycle, I'll make it green. So every part that is not mitosis is called interphase. And of course, the M phase we've talked about a lot is mitosis. So I'm going to hang out here for just a minute. In a cell, I said, let's say you have, in humans, let's say you have 46 chromosomes. All right, so in humans we have 46 chromosomes, 23 pairs, 46 chromosomes. When you enter S phase, your cell starts to replicate that DNA. We will talk more about how DNA replication occurs, but for right now, all you need to know is that DNA is duplicated. You make two copies. First you had one, now you have an identical copy. So by the end of S phase, you'd have twice this amount, which I believe would be 92. So you have twice the amount of chromosomes by the end of S phase. You enter G2 phase, there's no more DNA being duplicated or anything, so you still have 92 chromosomes. As you enter mitosis, again, you still have those 92 chromosomes. But by the time you exit, each one of these daughter cells will get half. That makes each one will receive 46 chromosomes apiece. 46 chromosomes apiece. So if I ask you a question like, a cell has 10 chromosomes in G1 phase, how many chromosomes will it have in G2 phase? Your answer would be, how many did I say, 10? So it would be 20, it would be double the amount, because you doubled your DNA in the S phase. So let's talk about mitosis now that we have solidified our understanding of the cell cycle. There's one piece I didn't say that we talked about in class. Some cells don't divide. Some cells just exist as a single cell and they will never make more of themselves. A great example of that are brain cells. You're born with a lot of brain cells, and you actually prune those brain cells back to make connections more efficient as you age. And so if you exit the cell cycle, you are a cell that is not dividing, you would enter, that marker doesn't work too well, you would enter G0 or G naught. And we said that G naught, G0, is when you are not dividing anymore. All right, so some cells divide all the time, some cells divide occasionally, some cells don't divide at all. If you don't divide at all, you're in a G naught phase. So let's talk about mitosis. Just to make this perfectly clear, our mitosis stage is this part right here, this M phase. We're gonna draw what happens during M phase right over here. So